Good afternoon, everybody. I like to start on time, but we are missing a few people, and those are the people from the Forestry Service. I tried to tell them about the windy roads and how long it's going to take them to get here, and apparently they didn't heed my... Anyway, so if you'll just hold on, continue your conversations. We know they're on their way. We went back and checked their tent, and they'll be here in just a few minutes. What we'll do is we'll end up putting up a bunch of charts, maps, and so forth, and we'll have them take you through the whole fire scene, how it's evolved, and then get around to the things that we're most concerned about, which is rumbling bald. Okay, and we'll cover all that, and then after we do that, we'll answer any questions that you might have. Remember to smile. We got all the news affiliates over here. Okay, welcome NBC, CBS, whoever else you are over there. That's right. Hey, I do want to convey one thing to you too, is that we had one group that came in from Oregon. They were staying at Lake Lorecrest, and they ran out of food. And Kay Dittmer and I don't know who else. Kay, you here? Darley Hassenfuss put together food for them, which they quickly ate, and they had the nicest compliments to say about everyone in Lake Lure. They said nowhere else where they had gone did they ever get the type of reception that they found in Lake Lure. So I just want to thank you all. So if I keep talking, well, I'll tell you what, you keep talking to yourselves and we'll get them in here as quickly as possible. Okay, Jean.
Is there any update on what food you need at this point in time? Because we're getting conflicting stories. Yeah.
Not really. I'll tell you what, why don't we'll ask that question to the PIO. It's the Public Information Officer. Bill, we are overwhelmed with water. We have more water and Gatorade and so forth.
Then pour them out.
Pour them out? No, drink them.
No, pour them out on the fire.
Mix them with something good. Oh, put them on the fire. That's good. Somebody was saying they're watching the TAC helicopter out there. It's picking up 2,600 gallons of water in 26 seconds and 4 fish. And they said they'll probably be on the menu tonight. But then somebody else said smoked. I'm sorry, I don't mean to make light of this. This is a very, very serious situation. And I guess another thing I can say is that we have been working with a semi-secure situation. The other side of town is absolutely secure. The state police won't let you get through. You know, you've been running in and out, and I think James and the other folks here have managed it very well. Let you back to feed the cats, to check some other things, and so forth. We're turning it down tonight. We want everybody out of here. There'll be fire trucks everywhere, and we can't have anybody in this resort. And I know a few of you who are not paying attention to that. It's serious. This is serious. You're going to find out that this is being well managed when you hear the story, but don't take anything lightly. The fire has jumped too many times and changed what we thought its behavior would be too many times. I think we have everything. I don't want to use the word control, but it's being managed, and it's being managed very well, thanks to everybody's help. Fire service has been fantastic. They're not here yet. I'm sorry. Okay, a special update. Gail's going to sing. She's very good.
No church, I promise. I am here representing PAWS of Rutherford County. This is Debbie Anderson, Barbie Gilmore, and Pat Howe with the Rutherford County Humane Society. Want you all to know that we have shelter facilities available here in the county if you need to leave your pet. Rutherford Pet Supply has got a great big room open for cats and dogs. If you can't take your pet with you, let us know. If your pet has gotten out, and we've just heard one that's gotten out on top of Young's Mountain, let us know. We've got a team ready to go out and find the pets So see one of us if you need to house your pet because you can't keep it in the housing that you're in.
All right, the PIO, Bill Wortley, is here. He had to make a quick stop on the way. Where was I in the middle of it when Gail said she had an announcement? Pardon?
Let's pray.
Sure. Well, yeah, we've had a couple of really wonderful stories. Here they come now. One was April Hill, Church Chapel Secretary, had some rooms in there. They have a camp, and they had called in and they had said they could make 25 rooms available, and almost simultaneously, 24 guys from Oregon walked up, and it was like that. So these type of things happen. Here comes Bill. Bill, come on in. You got to throw up your stuff. Well, I think it's better here.
I'm sorry, folks. We were going to post some maps, so do you have binoculars in the back? And we're going to leave them here too, so when it looks, yeah. Let's see. If you'll excuse us, now you're going to see how public information officers use blue painter's tape. Very slow.
Yeah, while they're setting up, this is a good opportunity. I'd like to have our new town manager, Ron Nally, stand up and so you all get a chance to see his face. He's doing a heck of a job. Starting off, he's only been here a couple of months, but he came from Montreat and he was part of managing the Black Mountain Fire a couple of years ago. So he's got actually some experience in this area. I mean, it's lent itself to helping out here. These are the questions we'll get to. Let us cover the whole situation first, so everybody can see the magnitude, and then we'll get down to those types of questions and see the type of decisions that we have to make on a daily basis. Yeah, I'm going to ask Tom Keever to come up and make an announcement about the school.
Thank you, Mayor. Just want to let everyone know, first off, we appreciate your thoughts and prayers and support. As we've been forced to close school all of this week, and we made the decision today to cancel school for the remainder of the week. I had teachers there today, and the air quality was terrible within the building, and there's just too much uncertainty surrounding this. So our mission, number one, is make sure our students and staff are safe. We will be making announcements, hopefully later on towards the weekend, as we all learn more about whether or not the corridor through Chimney Rock will remain open. We cannot run buses through that area, and over a quarter of our kids live in that area. We've also had approximately 40 to 45 students, we're still counting, students have been displaced in one form or another. So thank you for your thoughts and prayers. We will continue to keep the community, our school community, updated as we get information. And I cannot say enough about the organization that we have supporting us, and our firefighters and our town leadership have been just outstanding. So hats off to you guys.
Thank you. And what I asked Andy, your sidekick, today to do, and I don't know if it got passed on to you because you had other commitments, is start at the Incident Command Center, which is right about here, and take it counterclockwise around the fire till we get over to the resort. And then just sort of tell a little bit about what's going on in each one of these areas, and you can describe that chart, and then talk about the specifics of what's happening up here north of the King Ranch and into Grey Rock. Okay? And with that, here's Bill Wortley. Swartley, I'm sorry, I forgot the S.
Well,
I did a community meeting for our mayor, Bob, and he said, got a crowd over there at Lake Lure Inn, just come on over here, it's a little potluck, 51 people. He said, well, we'll have a little get together over at the resort too. I'm glad you're here at the little get together. So, what I have up here, and let me get my pointer out so I can get out from everybody here, are two maps. The first map, this map is basically a public information map, and again, a little bit about information transfer. We have heard from literally hundreds and hundreds of folks, and that's what our job is as public information officers. We need to communicate the information from the fire to the customers. So what are our tools? Our tools are working with the mayor and the town, Lake Lure, the town of Lake Lure website, with a federal website we use, INCIWeb, and many of you are familiar with that now, INCIWB. So we'll use those tools. We'll use media outlets. Last time I checked, I think we had, I checked with my office manager, about 200 media outlets listed. And we'll use our stakeholders. We have 50 stakeholders. When I think it's, stakeholders, we're talking about the sheriff's office, any groups or cooperators that are participating in some form or fashion to get the word out. And we appreciate that. So, again, the two maps, and some of you in the back can't see, but the two maps I brought with the information map, which we'll talk about that. And then I wanted, I asked our situation unit, do you have a progression map? This is called a progression map. And basically what it is, it's color coded, and you can actually look at the date of the fire, and you have a timeline, so you can actually see how the fire progresses over time. And again, we're going to leave these here for you to just use, peruse, and everything else. Well, that's going to be hard, so let's try it. Thank you. Okay. So, as Mayor Bob said, let's move around the horn. And we're going to start right here over at the, right there we go, in the ICP right about there. Okay, and of course everybody's very familiar with, if it's red, it's mandatory and you're out. If it's green, and that happened yesterday, Orrs Camp Rd, you're in with restrictions, and of course those restrictions are, yes, you can go into your home, but you still can't go into the village of Chimney Rock. So what we have here, and let's just talk about what the fire's been doing. So the red hatched line is the active fire perimeter. And I will also say this, these maps are produced about midnight to 1 o'clock in the morning, and the fire doesn't respect that, so it keeps moving, so they're a little outdated. But that's what we have to work with. As you can see, the fire is pushed into some places in Chimney Rock. Now, about Chimney Rock and about what was happening there, people would ask, why didn't you just go up there with the structural protection group, just train your hoses up about 100 yards or 50 yards, wherever far they can reach, and knock those flames down? That's a good question. And the reason we didn't, and the reason we wait for the fire to back down the mountain, walk down the mountain very slowly, flame lengths is about the size of a campfire, for a very good reason. What we don't want to do is put the fire out and have 50 or 60 yards of fuel ready for reignition. So that's why it's been a slow process in the village of Chimney Rock, literally waiting for the fire to come down around some of the properties. Some of these properties have natural vegetation, they don't have yards. We'll let it walk through the yards, walk around the house, structure protections all over it, come down to the road. Sometimes it goes out by itself, sometimes we hit it with a little water. But that process, that timeline, is taking a long time. I know I went up, I just came back through there and I saw some of the engines, they were working over here. But again, that is a long process. Where's the fire going? The fire's trying to hook down here a little bit on the southwest side. And we're watching that. We've certainly seen a response by the emergency managers and the sheriff's department of those respective counties, Henderson, Buncombe counties. And this fire's coming back up here, and then of course the other day, and we had a lot of calls, well, you're getting moving people on 9. Well, basically 9 is our new containment line. That's why we're moving up a 9. We have no way to defend this fire, so they're basically using the road, and when you build a containment line, you're either gonna look for a natural resource break. I'm sitting here looking at one in the back window, that's water. Could be a rock ball, or it's a man-made thing. And in this particular case, 9 is the best choice at this point in time. About 4 days ago, right where that line is here, that was a containment line that was a dozer line. And the fire basically slopped over the containment line. It actually went down to that creek right there and kind of held for a while. Again, a natural fire break. And then it got over there, and then yesterday it just made the run, the weed patch. So, what's your plan? What we're doing is we want to take 9 as the containment line, wrap up over north of Weed Patch, and then come through Gray Rock. Everybody knows that. Am I using the right name, Gray Rock? It was the bankrupt subdivision, and then the owners got together and pooled their resources. And yeah, so there's this. I heard there's a dream home in there, but there's maybe a couple other homes. But what we're doing is basically using those roads as man-made breaks. And then what we're also doing is coming down here, and it's not showing on this map, we have dozer line, which we're just punching in down here. So, and I'm gonna get to right here, Bob said end here and spend some time here. But the game plan is to go and start burn-in operations. And when I say burn-in operation, what I'm saying is use fire to fight fire. So basically start lighting up on the right-hand side of this road and let it start working back towards the fire. So my understanding was the burn-in operations had occurred, and again, this is off the map, but they had occurred somewhere to about here. They were ready to connect over to Gray Rock. And then from Gray Rock, they wanted to seal this off. So what's so important about sealing off the northern side of the fire? Well, we're having we had a weak front come through with about winds of no more than 12 miles an hour. And we're having a much stronger front come through this weekend. I've heard varying reports, but we're talking about 20, 25 sustained, 40, 45 gusts. Well, you all know, here's the front, and it's coming towards you. Winds blow out the southwest. And the concern was, we want to get this area here buttoned up, have a good black line with that burn-in operation, because we would fully expect this fire to really just rapidly move to the northeast. Now, that when a wind's blowing like that, you know, that's how you have project fire. There's two things going on. It's pushing the fire, and it's feeding its oxygen. So it's advancing one of those triangles of fuel and ignition and the oxygen it needs to support it. So let's move back down here. And I know some of you, I think we've had some hand lines put in here. We have engines patrolling, and we have 3 wildland trucks patrolling here. And then we're having structure protection. And I've had people say, well, why haven't you burned this out? Well, the simple reason is, if we start a burn-in operation here, and it moves north before we've fully finished our containment lines and done our burn-out operations to secure the area in black as much as possible, the fire will, if we're firing here, it'll just take off. As part of a firefighter planning process, and again, we have a lot of structure. It's basically on an instant command system. You have planning, you have operations, you have finance, and logistics. There are planners, our ops chiefs planners are always looking for what's the next contingency line. Well, what this team wants to do right now is basically hold it over just past Wheat Patch and through Gray Rock, and just basically let this go here. It's not much homes, but where there are homes, we'll be certainly defending them with the structure protection group, with our, basically engines. And the engines are coming from all over the communities, the fire departments, the volunteer fire departments of North Carolina. And as soon as they get the dozer line secured and continue the burn-in operations, I think the intent will be to go ahead and concentrate down here, but it's a process. We have to secure it up here, because if we put fire down here, it's going to basically defeat our process, our plan that we have right now. So, and as you say, is a southwest wind, Bill? Well, what's that wind going to do? And we're seeing this little knob sticking out to the east, and here's your community right here. What we want to do is certainly attack that in several ways, with burn-in operations being the primary focus, structure protection group, and basically what happens is, where we see the most need, we'll put those resources. So right now there may not be too many structure protection group resources here. There's a pile of them down here as they continue to monitor the fire, and they're up here too. Where our effort's been is to, and again, I'm not cheating this community up here. There may be some people here. Again, it's lesser population, but every house is an important house. So what we'll be doing up there, again, structure protection, and what we've been doing the past couple of days when we did have an air show, being able to fly, we were hitting this area pretty hard. We were hitting this just to slow it down a little bit so we can get ahead of it with our game plan. So let's talk about Fairfield, or the resort itself. You've been out for how long? How many days you've been out? Right. And how long am I going to be out? That's the question we get on our phones. And so just so you know, in our information office, we have 11 phones, and I have 8 people, and there's the phones continuing to ring. We're trying to get everybody, and then when we have a voicemail and we're dumping those messages, we're trying to give each customer the information they need. And so sometimes it's usually going strong from about 7 o'clock in the morning till about 10:30 at night. And in terms of your second homeowners, yes, I've heard from you. They're just around the block. We'll have a home my other home's Rutherfordton, and then I've heard from a lady from Amsterdam. That's our second home. So how's it doing? I'm saying it's good. You've got a natural fire break between us and you. So. And it's pretty big. So what we want to do here is, again, get the fire line and get the fire break installed, and we've got to come through this country right here with the dozers. And then again, there's some hand line work being done right here. And then once that's done, and when this fire's moved up here a little bit farther, we want to do a burnout operation, we could use the wind. We could literally use the wind and just to burn this off here too. But what it does is that we take out this fuel here, and then basically you've got your well, let's say that'd be like the northwest side of the community, you got it in the black. Fire can't get you if you got a large black area because there's no fuel to carry it. And again, what we would do, even with that operation, you would have just a number of structure protection engines in there. Because I told everybody at the last meeting the good news, and then the very good news. The good news, when it came down to Chimney Rock, it was just a walking fire, just coming down slowly, very slowly, very slowly, and there was no wind. Had that fire been walking off the mountain and you'd been having sustained 25, 30, and gusting to 45, as I described some, you would have sat there looking across Chimney Rock Valley with all the homes, and you would picture us what would be looking like with a gentle snowfall, except change the gentle snowfall to firebrands and embers just dropping on everything. That's a difficult situation. We didn't have it. That's a good thing. So what we're going to be looking for in this part of our operation is to have, again, the process in play, to have the line constructed, to continue the burnout operations, which stopped about here, take them all the way over, take them around, and get it done before the wind hits. So when is the wind hitting? How's it hitting? Well, the incident meteorologist said we'll probably start seeing it on Thursday, and it's just going to be incremental Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then of course when the front comes through, what does the wind do? It usually switches out of the west northwest. So those are going to be days that, oh, could you get any worse than that in terms of weather conditions, fire weather conditions? And yeah, Mother Nature's cooperating on that note, and we're supposed to have temperatures in the mid-70s, and the relative humidity's going to bottom out, probably down to the as much as 20%. So we're really going to have some fire weather conditions, and we're going to have some extraordinary conditions. When you think about where we are, we're November 15th. Like the governor said the other day, we're having, California fires in North Carolina. And that's going to test our lines. It's going to test our containment, and again, there's just a tremendous number of structure protection engines here, and we haven't lost a structure, and our goal is not to lose it. Yes, our goal is not to lose a structure either. And certainly remember, first and foremost, when it comes to wildland firefighting, life is the first priority, protection of firefighters and the public, and that's why this community is evacuated right now. And again, I'll use the example of Chimney Rock. And I ran into a reporter early in the morning, and she was saying, wow, this is really something that's almost, it's just looking at it. And to me, it was a good backing fire coming down. But I know fire, our firefighters know fire, and we weren't that concerned. But can you imagine what would have happened in here when the fire was walking down the mountain and people don't know fire and they're trying to get out, and we got hose lays and we got structural protection, we got other men sitting there? That's a disaster waiting to happen, and that's exactly why this community remains evacuated until that event happens, and the professionals can work the structure protection, the firefighters. You're out of the equation, and that's a good thing. Your questions you have, you're running through the Public Information Fire Information Center. That's a good thing, but we don't need people engaged when we're engaging in fire. I'm gonna stop right there, Bob, and you,
Let me just make one or two comments.
sure.
We've been using Chimney Rock as an example, but Quail Ridge, we had about 25 engines, almost one engine per house. That's what's planned for this area over the next couple of days. Ron Morgan and Gary and Jimmy Howe, they're coordinating where they're going to place these trucks, these assets. Now, some of them will be up here in Grey Rock, but most of them will be right in the Deerwood area. So that's why we just can't have any people around. Okay, now, God forbid it jumps that way. We don't think it will. There's a protection line in back of the King Ranch. It runs all the way up into Grey Rock. It doesn't show on the map, but it's there. And they're monitoring these lines right now. In fact, they're dropping water in certain areas. That's what the helicopter's doing right now. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Bill just to answer any questions, specific questions you have. He's the expert.
It's your show. Questions? Yes, sir.
What about the Shumont area? You haven't talked a lot about that. Are you using Shumont Road as a barrier also? Or?
My question will be, is that Shumont in Rutherford or Shumont in Bunkerman? Again, structure and protection, there's evacuated structure and protection will be in place when the fire gets close. We'll be using basically wildland firefighter techniques and burnout operations as they're needed. A lot of the times the wildland crews will prep a home. If we see it at high risk, we'll prep the home. What does that mean? We'll pull the brush away from it. We'll pull all the flammable material away from it. And so that's part of the process. Question? Yes, ma'am.
I contacted our insurance company, and they said that we would need to get some kind of official statement from whoever required our evacuation to apply to our insurance. So I'm just calling, will you give a written documentation or a statement saying we've been evacuated, and which we can give to our insurance companies?
And the answer was, I don't know, but where I more than likely think that's going to come from your emergency manager for your respective county. They're going to handle that issue.
We could probably get that from Ron Morgan and his boss, Roger Hollifield.
Right. Rogers for Rutherford. Yes, sir.
Any idea at all when 74A will be open toward Asheville? From Chimney Rock to Asheville?
Well, and you have lots of good questions. The reason that hasn't opened yet is because anytime we have a need for structural protection engines to be moving quickly to a location or being redeployed to a location, the last thing we need is traffic on the road. In fact, we even had a special request from the school saying, can I get 3 or 6 buses? One's coming from the north, and no, we can't, because that's, again, impeding fire traffic in the event that bus is on the road and we've got to move equipment fast. And on that note, if you make an exception for one, you make an exception for others. And again, just like that, when Chimney Rock, when Boys Camp closed, I gotta go find my cat. I forgot my grandmother's medications. The freezer's off, I wanna turn the generator on. My comment again is, if we let one person in, then we're opening ourselves up. And what was the most important thing besides the safety of the community that's been evacuated is the security of the evacuation itself. And I can tell you in Chimney Rock, as I was going through there was nothing there but green and yellow and blue with representing the firefighters and law enforcement. Other questions? Yes, ma'am. Yes.
I was just, I'm from Batcave. I was just wondering about that western edge down there. Is that expected to keep moving west and hit Route 9? Like
No.
down that corner on the further south?
Further south?
Yeah. Like,
Right, yeah. Oh, well, you can see the active fire front right here, and it has been moving. It has been moving that direction with the north winds blowing. Again, when we switch over the winds to the southwest, it would turn into a backing fire no matter where it's going. And again, what we look at on a fire, there's two components with respect to the land is the wind and its alignment with the drainage. So yeah, a fire will move faster up a drainage when the wind and the drainage align. But right here, I would think if you're down in that area and you're sitting there, what's going to happen to Bat Cave? When this wind switches over here, it's going to be pushing the fire. So the fire may be moving, but it's not going to be supported by the wind. It's going to be trying to go against the wind. So it will slow down quite a bit. And again, a planning operation may be made to take advantage of that factor.
This line may have moved a little bit overnight.
Right.
And we have Henderson County, the fire marshal, they're on top of things. They're at every meeting that we're at. They're protecting every structure up in that area.
Oh, on the back there, yes, ma'am.
Okay, I wanted to know, with roads being blocked, where is the safest evacuation route? Do we go over Sugar Hill into Old Fort?
Well, any artery that leads you away from the fire, you're sitting here looking at the fire, and any artery that leads you from the fire. I mean, and I don't know the area. I'm from Raleigh, but you know the area, so you know where the fire is. You certainly don't want to go to the fire. You can go away from the fire.
As of 5 o'clock today, this will be closed and 9 will be closed. Up past Humane Road.
I said, as of 5 o'clock today, 9 will be closed, as well as 6474. And I'll tell you that we are taking a look at doing something through Chimney Rock, but it's well, just in the planning stages. We're working very hard with Peter O'Leary and the safety people.
Yes,
I have
ma'am.
a question. Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, and then we'll get you next, sir. Yes, ma'am.
So if the fire starts to go out toward Chimney Rock, then do you move the command center where you dispatch all the vehicles, or does it remain?
Well, yeah, I actually asked that question. Will the incident command post ICP move as the fire moves? And the answer I got from my incident commander said, no, we're here to stay. We're going to work this fire, even if the fire is advancing to the north and needs to getting farther, the actual flame front's getting farther west, we're still staying at the ACP there.
I had a question with probably more addressed to the mayor. Is there a possibility that we could get the mail stopped? Because mail continues to be delivered to our homes and we are displaced, and it doesn't make a lot of sense to be sending those people up there. So I wondered if we could somehow, I called the post office and they said, no, there's no way that we can stop everybody's mail that's been displaced, but something has to be done.
That question was for Peter O'Leary. No. Let me just say is that yesterday we got just the opposite information. Mail was building up in Hendersonville and in the post offices because they weren't delivering the mail. Now, yesterday we made, well, I think we got it. When we opened up Boys Camp, we decided we'd start doing mail delivery today, but I think some of it was delivered yesterday. If it is being delivered, I'm very surprised.
It's being delivered.
Okay, well then, we'll check on that and we'll see that we do something that's appropriate. Is that fair, Bill?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll check on that as soon as we get back.
And what I'll do on that is we'll have that's a liaison issue for the team too, so we'll make that connection happen too. Yes, sir, right down here.
Please comment on the other map, please.
Oh yes, absolutely. So, and again, what we may end up doing, if it's okay with this facility, we'll just move those maps over and just leave the tape to the wall. And painter's tape not supposed to pull off the paint, but so again, the fire. So you can literally follow the path of the fire. Here again, November 5th and 9th, 885 acres, color coded right here. And by the way, I did ask that question when I showed up. Party Rock Fire, how to get its name? The fire started on Party Rock. Very small fire, but it just it fell off the bulb and away it went. November 10th, it grew about a 200, looks like, yeah, about 200 plus acres. And again, color coded right here. This is a very expressive map because November 11th, you see that darker shade. Here's the size of the fire, and it almost doubled. And that was a very critical point because when we saw it almost double, we said, okay, that happened through a day and night burning, and that's the uniqueness of this fire with the extended drought conditions, with the topography, the terrain we have here. The fire managers were saying, if we grew this much in 24 hours, what's it going to do in another 24 hours? And so that's when you err on the side of caution and protect human life. And that's when the evacuation started. November 12th, again, and just a series of 13, 14, so you can see it's kind of fingering out in various places. Again, we're going to leave this map. But what it does is it gives you an idea of, and the acreage, the corresponding acreages on that, you can get an idea over time when a fire moves and why a fire moves. A fire moves based on fire weather conditions, it's mainly on the fuel conditions, and it's based on the topography and based on the wind. So when you see this particular area nearly doubling the size of fire, it was running up Shumat Mountain. It was making a hard run too, and because normally a fire beds down, we call it bedding down, the humidity goes up at night, temperature cools, and the fire just doesn't go away, it's just beds down. And this fire kept running hard at night as it was during the day. Other questions?
Sir?
Yes.
You talk about burning the brush. I've heard that fires can go deep and burn the roots of trees when there's been serious drought. And if that is the case, will a continued strong wind feed that underground fire, or do you not worry about that?
Well, that's a good question, and let's just compare what types of, and again, I'm referring to the duff, which is basically the organic layer in the bottom of the forest floor. Let's just jump about 400 miles to the east, where we have rich organic layers in eastern North Carolina, and when they have a drought, all those layers dry out, and then you can get trees literally standing like they look like they're on sticks, and then they, because literally the soil burns around the tree roots. Do we have that happen here? No, but your point is well taken, because with the extended drought conditions, and basically there's a KBDI, catch bioram index, the burning index, basically it's telling you how much moisture is in the soil itself. So absolutely, the duff, that forest floor, is drying out, so the fire will burn deep, but it should not be deep enough to be adversely affecting the roots. But I will tell you what happened with the big killer out there in the woods is, and I was actually took some media up into an area where I knew they would be protected, but I had to go through my firefighter rules, because what happens, you have a lot of, we call them snags. It's basically a dead tree. It's cured firewood, still standing up, hasn't fallen. When the fire moves through, it basically ignites. And you may have seen some of them just like big tiki torches on the mountains, just the entire 40 feet, 50 feet of dead tree flaming. When the bottom of the tree burns out, the bole of the tree burns out, they come down, and they come down hard. So we're very mindful of that. And the other problem with that is when they're on up elevation, if a snag comes down or a rolling log breaks free and it's going to drop down 100, 200 feet, that's how you can move fire fast on the ground too, when you have those elevations. So these are all watch out situations for firefighters, and we have to be very concerned about not only fighting fire, but fighting fire safely. Other questions?
Sir, our community.
I just want to bring it closer to home on what Bill just said. This line, which is in black, which is Quail Ridge, they are going up every day and monitoring that. And they have found a few hot spots. I don't know if they were root, whatever, or snags or whatever, but they're putting that out. So they're watching it continually. The trails up in here, the dozer trails and the I think Chuck and Char probably heard all the chainsaws. They're clearing those things out in addition to the dozer line, because that's what happened over here. The snags were the ones that trees fell over and broke the line. They breached the line. But we've cleaned those out pretty well. Do we have 100% surety? No. And that's why we're being so cautious. And one other thing is, because what Bill said before, when this thing ran, that third day, that's what got everybody so nervous about how much do you protect. And that's why we evacuated what we did, the Bald Mountain area, Quail Ridge, and even over to Tatanka and Young's Mountain, okay? That's why we did that, because it could have gone that fast.
So our community is 5 miles to the north of here. How much concern do you have of jumping the gray lines at this time?
Well, and that's a valid point. And I was at the Incident Command Post last night about 11:15. I ran into one of our field observers, Mike Petruncio. He's a District 7 forester up in Elizabeth City. He's been doing this a while, and I said, if we can't catch the fire, weed patch containment line with gray rock. Where's the next line? He says that's something we're asking too, you know, and I'm not suggesting there is not another line, but as this fire moves north, we will certainly be looking for what is the other defensible area with respect to a fire break, either natural or man-made. So that's being looked at. When you're fighting fire, you always have a plan A, you have a plan B, and you have a plan C. You don't just say, what are we going to do now once across containment? That's why you have contingency lines.
My question deals with what do I do today about evacuation? It's been extremely helpful up here on Buffalo Creek Road to come back during the day and take care of things. Has that ended as of the end of this meeting, or will we be able to do that again?
Well, again, what I'm going to say, and I was on another mission, and I just got back in his command post, got briefed up before this meeting. But just as we did in Boys, if you're evacuated right now, correct?
Yes.
And just like Boys Camp Road was evacuated, then we went through the process of re-entry, and just as much as we communicated the evacuation, we communicate the re-entry. And that has not been communicated yet. That will be communicated when that time has come. So if you're out right now, and you haven't heard anything, that's because we're not there yet. And you're in a safe place, and that's a good thing.
Real quickly, the mail question. The post office had received so much mail they had no room for it. So they decided to start delivering it because they had no place to put it. So if any of you can go to the post office and get your mail, that would be helpful. We just got that reported from the post office. Okay.
If I could just let you know what's going on.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you want to come forward? Come on up here. We got the postmistress here. Let's give her a hand. She's going to reduce the cost of a stamp. Watch this.
Okay, just to let you know, as far as Rumbling Bald, we have been able to get in as of today. If we can get in, we're going to start trying to hold the mail. We're trying to hold Chimney Rock's mail. Back Cave's mail is still in Back Cave, but we've been able to stop in to do little things here and there with, we can't just stay there all day and work the mail and have everybody come in and open because it is a dangerous area. Rumbling Bald, if it's best for you guys, we will try as of today because I don't think he's able to get in today because of this danger. we will start holding that mail, but it does become a problem of there's no place to put it. You know, it gets where it's piled up. So yes, if you want to pick it up, we will start holding it as long as we can, and I don't know how long this will go on. And Chimney Rock's mail, we're keeping first class mail and packages at Lake Lure. So if that helps anybody, and I thought, well, the bulk mail and magazines were just, you know, that is at the post office in Chimney Rock. And as far as Bat Cave goes, I don't know how long this will go on. That's we were having some problems with keeping all of the mail that we, you know, that was where people couldn't get in before. We had all that sitting around. But that area's been opened back up, and now we're going to have rumbling bulbs, but we're trying to see where we can keep it all. But
Can you put it in the trailers, the empty trailers from the old school? Can we open those up?
no, because it's not, it's got to be protected in a post office. Yeah, we just can't, and plus we don't really have the personnel to go to other places at this point. We don't.
Plus, we're hoping that those things might disappear in the next couple of days. We're getting very detailed at this point in time. Let's take 3 more questions, and then we can do individual questions. We'll hang around. We'll do individual questions. Is that okay with everybody?
I have a question.
I said I heard a lot of no's.
I have a question for the PIO officer. My question is this: there's been some very profound and disconcerting statements made by some pretty qualified officials, including the governor, that this fire could burn till March. I want to hear your take on that, because that is a pretty serious statement, and obviously it was verifiable, or he wouldn't have said that.
Correct. The governor, before he came out and did his press conference, he had a briefing with the command and general staff of the Brandon Incident Management Team, and you know, that's a good comment. You're saying what's behind it. The comment stands, and under these circumstances, if we do not have any rain, if we continue the drought, we could be fighting fire right on into the spring fire season. Now, let me put a couple caveats there. What I didn't come up here initially to manage information to suppress this fire. I was tasked on Sunday to come up on Monday and run a fire prevention education team to basically start mitigating human-caused fires, specifically those ignitions. And we actually operated for about 2 to 3 days, and then with the Party Rock fire, we had so many pressing information needs that we had to bail out. And they said, you're just being restaffed down to Party Rock. Now, you may have seen some of the things the prevention information team was doing. I know probably some of you have been driving the interstates and the roads, and you're seeing burn ban in effect, or drought conditions, prevent wildfires. That's on DOT signs on the interstates. We were working with the fire marshals when we got pulled. The importance is, yes, we needed to go down to this fire, but a federal team is actually backfilling us. They were mobilizing yesterday. There's fire prevention teams going on right now in Mississippi, Kentucky, Georgia, and it's going to be starting up again in North Carolina. But let's go back to that question you had, sir. If we maintain the drought conditions, and if we have those ignitions, then we could be fighting fire. So that's what the prevention team was doing, trying to mitigate human-caused fires. If we can have it very dry, but if we're situationally aware, if we're vigilant with spark, if we're putting things into practice, you know, I'm not going to give you the laundry list, but if your car's hot and you park on tall grass and your catalytic converter ignites, there's a fire. If you have tall grass against electric fence and it sparks, you got a fire. If you're towing a trailer down the road and the chain's off and there's sparks flying, you can have a fire. So the important part of that is most of the fires are human caused, either intentionally, and I know we've probably seen some incendiary fires here, and this fire is still under investigation, but if we can mitigate the human caused fires, we can literally shut down the fires we have. Yes, we can be still dry and we can have a drought condition, but we just won't have those fires. But the governor's right, if we continue to have ignitions, we can fight fire right into March.
Question, regarding the resort area, is it possible for, with the wind change, for the fire to come back into the resort area here?
That's a good question.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yes. With resort area being here, is a possibility the fire could wrap back around and come down from the north, or actually come, literally wrap around and come back, any approach the resort area anyway possible. And what would happen here, and again, I'm not the operational planner, but with being around fire enough, once this burn-in operation occurs here and the fire does start to push, then they'll start carrying a black line. If there's not a dozer blade or something else put in here already, there will be. So they'll start blackening this and using burn-in operations to push the fire up and literally work around circling basically the subdivisions. Again, that's a process. That may be occurring, but I can't tell you when on the timeline, because the planning is inherently tied to the fire path, direction, and speed.
We live on Route 9, Lower Flat Creek Road. You talked about using 9 as a containment line. Can you give us any kind of indication as to when we might be evacuated? We've been following the NCO website very closely, but we have not heard anything until, in fact, I didn't even know 9 was closing until today.
Right, it is again, I told you that they closed 9, they started introducing fire and brought it around. Now, when they introduce fire, there may not be continuous, but basically the fire starts burning back. And when they got enough black, and when that fire on 9 joins the active fire perimeter, and then you have no more fuel, that's the start of the process to get people back in their homes. Right. But until that fuel is consumed, that's the timeline right there, and that's the wait, because you got to wait for the fire to meet fire.
So you're saying that along 9, you are intending to start the fire to help fight the fire, and I understand that. We live literally right northwest of the tip of that line, just below Humane. What does that mean for us? Are we happy to leave now because you need to start lighting these fires? Or?
Well, and again, the evacuation is for the protection of life, and we also want to take the human equation out of the firefighting, and so by that evacuation, we're keeping you safe, and we're keeping our firefighters safe and their operations unimpeded.
How far north on Highway 9 will that evacuation?
Well, it would be basically, it's going to come up the 9 into where it comes into around Weed Patch, since it did cross Weed Patch, and then tie back in. And I haven't seen again, I don't have the benefit of looking at it because it would be up here, but they're more than likely using roads, or they cut in a dozer line there for that. Let's get some questions in the back so we can get closer wrapping up. We've been partial to the front. Yes, ma'am.
We need to let the press say, do not throw out your cigarettes when these fires start on Sunday. Remind the public, don't throw it out. Use your ashtray.
Well, and let me just tell you about that. And I talked to the regional forester. Some of you may know him, Greg Yates. And I said, Greg, what do we got going up here when we were doing the prevention team? And he said, Bill, we've lost our ability to get a break. And what does that mean? He says, the fuel conditions are such that in those processes I described to you, where you have sparking and it can result in ignition, normally there's enough moisture in the fuel that you can get away with putting your car on tall grass with a hot catalytic converter and you won't get ignition. And I'm not condoning throwing your trash out, but literally you could get away with flicking your cigarette out and not getting an ignition because there was enough moisture in that fine fuel. But we were in different and difficult times. If you engage in any of those processes, chances are you're going to have ignition and a fire, and if it's not caught small, then you have another incident. So I identify what you're saying, ma'am. Another question in the back. Nothing? Yes, ma'am.
You mentioned 9 now. 9 is also from Watkins. Can we go on 9 from Watkins towards 108 to Hendersonville and Ashton? Can we go that way?
And thank you for answering, because now you were talking communities and which way to go. I don't know it.
We talked about evacuation. If we can go out 9 towards.
That's a different route 9.
Yes.
It's a different 9.
You want to just, okay.
The answer is yes.
How many questions? Again, so I'll go take one more question, and then I'm going to stay here, and I'll answer questions until we're done.
Let's do two, these two.
There we go.
I think you probably hear me. Bob, this is for you. You mentioned how up until today, we've been able to, they've managed us getting in and out, with our driver's license here at the resort. Is it on?
It's on.
Yeah, you mentioned that we've been able to get in and out here at Rumbling Ball at the resort to maintain pets, and take care of some things. That's been very convenient, but just to get some clarification, you said it's going to be a permanent, a strict ban as of today or tonight, because if we've been doing that, we still have a few things we'd like to get out, like the pets and, that we've been maintaining here. So, do we still have a little bit of time before it's strict, before you can't get in with a driver's license?
Basically, the resort's been doing, I think, a wonderful job providing the ability to do some of the things you want to do because we knew we were secure. This line right here has been deemed secure, even though it's not in the black. But we didn't have any of the other stuff up in here, and if the wind had changed, it could have come down in here really quickly. What we've done is that all these houses have been deleaved. I don't know if that's a word. They've all been done, with the exception of the HGTV house, and that's being done today. All this work is taking place right now. Now, at some point in time, we'll get a report that things look really good and they're secure. The burnout has taken place, and you can go back into your homes. Right now, though, we're nervous because the wind is starting to change. So I'd say I got to leave this up to you and the resort. I think you should close it down and be secure. There's some people that haven't left their homes. I think they're being foolish, but that's me. So if you got to get your stuff, get it out. You've had 5 days, and I don't mean to be punitive, but you've had plenty of time to do what you have to do. Yeah, it's time. I mean, I don't mean to be harsh, but it's time. Yeah, there's traffic too. Right now, I mean, Ron is bringing in, there'll probably be 20 to 22 trucks up in the Deerwood area, Deerfield, I'm sorry, tonight, this afternoon, right now. We just don't need that type of traffic.
So we have another hour or so just to get.
Well, yeah, James is. Go ahead, James.
We have security's no longer letting people into the Deerfield golf estates.
I'm talking about country.
Anything behind the security gate, security is no longer allowing anyone in. There's a lot of firefighting traffic headed that direction. There's a lot of activity just over the Deerfield area.
This is the first we've heard of this, though, and so if I had known that before I came to this meeting, I would have grabbed the pets and taken them out. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying just, you can't tell me now and then say, this is it. We've been letting you in, but now suddenly.
Well, the purpose was, the evacuation has been in place since Friday. security has been letting people in for emergency situations. Yeah, so it's a little tight at this point because of the activity going on to let people in.
So I have to leave my pets there, you're saying, right now? Because even though you let me in until 3 this morning.
And folks,
Let's stop it.
now the gentleman has a purpose, but this is what we're all experiencing here. There's a certain, undeniably, there's a certain level of stress, and I'm not denying it. And this is one of the reasons you were evacuated, because that we just gotta do the professionals need to do their job. And we're going to get you back in as quickly as we can. Now, what I'm going to do, we are going to hang these maps up over here. But if you use, I will do one more question. But if you do have internet access, go to INCIWeb, INCIWB, search the Party Rock Fire. All these maps, the news releases, the announcements, the evacuations, the re-entries are there. The maps are high-resolution maps. You can blow that thing up on your monitor, and you can see everything in detail. We're updating those maps daily, and if there's fire moves quickly, then I ask Situation Unit Lead to give me another map. So just know you have those tools. Now the final question, yes, sir.
With regards to the back burn on the north side of the resort, do you
Yes.
have any sense of what the time frame is when that operation will start?
No, and because the first thing that has to happen is the fire containment lines have to be secured, and we have to have the burnout operation complete in order to prepare for the southwest wind. That's probably out there, but the timeline is not in the immediate nature, so it's probably out there. It will happen probably in a week, absolutely, but I can't tell you that right now.
See me back there.
So I appreciate your time and taking the patience and taking just being hospitable to the team. Donations I talked about. The donations we've deflected them to the Rutherford County and Henderson County Fire Department. So if you have donations you want to make, go there. And again, we'll hang these maps up. I'm hanging around here until their questions are no more.